Hey everybody, yeah, it's been an extra week. I had a little something I had to do last week called the West Florida Steel Challenge Championships, but we are back here with another episode of the Steel Target podcast. Okay,
Easy
let
for
me
you
try
to
that.
say.
Yeah, really. Let me see. Let me get my tongue untied. The Steel Target Paint podcast. I can't even say that one time fast.
You
Steve,
gotta
how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing well. You're doing a little traveling today, huh?
Yep.
All right.
But
Well, you
my shoes did finally dry out from the match last weekend.
yes, I have to admit I wore a different set on Sunday because Saturdays were pretty waterlogged and Sundays are pretty waterlogged as well. It was unfortunately there was some rain. The benefit to the shooters was that we did have canopies set up over all the shooting boxes, so at least when you were shooting, you weren't in the rain. But there was a lot of people hiding in the little cubby holes and extra places at the whack where you can kind of get out of the rain. Luckily, nobody was in the safe area with handling ammo, so that was a good thing.
So let's talk a little bit about the match. Now, did it end up being a record for you guys?
It was 271 guns.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it we were virtually full uh both Saturday and Sunday. In the past, the Saturday afternoon tended to be a little light, and I think a lot of that was due to the time of the year when we used to run it in August.
Yeah.
Uh and this we're very fortunate and feel very honored to kind of kick off the season with this match and get people to come down. And we had people from all over the place. I may not get them all, but I know we had Pennsylvania, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, of
Indiana.
course, Indiana.
India. Yeah.
Um, I just can't thank everybody enough for coming down to the match. It was a success. We handed out a lot of awards, which was great to do. You know, I will say that, Jesse Grant cleaned up and well deserved. He shot fantastic this weekend. In fact, as I'm looking here at the results, his RFRO, RFRI, and PCCO took the top three spots at the match. With a blazing, and again, we shoot the speed six, so keep that in mind, everyone. But he shot a blazing 39.92 for the speed six.
That's pretty impressive, especially with the uniqueness of the whack.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I joke about it, but it is very true. Everybody who shoots at the whack on a consistent basis has a home field advantage. You can't say that for a lot of ranges because they tend to be outside, but with the outdoor covered bays, it's a different dynamic in shooting at those bays, for sure.
Yeah, so I was talking to Jesse a little bit. Of course, we had what Randall, you, Jesse, Caleb, and myself. Am I missing anybody? I
Uh,
apologize
I'm
if I
pretty
am.
sure that those were the Steel Target Paint team members. Yes.
Yeah, the Steel Target Paint team cleaned up at the match, so I like that. But I was talking to I was talking to Jesse. I think it was in the middle of the day on Sunday, just kind of talking to him a little bit about his practice routine and all that kind of stuff, and talking to his mom. And to deliver those kind of results, especially in those shooting conditions, that's exceptional. And so, I asked him, I said, okay, all right, Jesse, how much you practicing? And he was kind of being all bashful, and yeah, I practiced a decent amount. And his mom pulled back the curtains and said, you know what, that kid, if he's not at school, not doing homework, he's practicing. So pretty much every day for a period of time. So that's really cool. So if you want to shoot a 39 on the speed six in the dark alley of the whack, Need to practice every day, Jeff. That's the moral of
Absolutely.
that story.
Well, speaking of practice, I do some dry fire, mostly working on my draws with my center fire guns. But we had a new vendor at the match this year. And well, first we'll talk about Old Faithful. Brian Conley for I think virtually every year of the match. There might have been one where he missed, where he might have been scheduled somewhere else, has been at this match, and he was
Yeah,
there again this year. And it's just greatly appreciated to have his support in the game and for the shooters. And again, he weathered the storm. By the end, he had found some good cover, and Sunday he was under some of the connexes instead of having the whole magical mystery tour set up. But I know a lot of people because I helped them. I had some coupons, and a lot of people got set up with new Hunters HD lenses, and that's phenomenal. Knowing that they've got the best lenses on the market and also protecting themselves in their eyes because we have a set of steel that it does have the hanger, and you will get some ricochets. And
yeah,
so that's
yep.
and a lot of ranges have those, and so you've got to be prepared. You've got to keep those eyes protected. So thanks to Brian for being at the match. But our other vendor at the match was U.S. Airsoft Targets, and I tell you, they've got an interesting setup. And in fact, they were very nice and donated a set of their steel to the range for use when it's impossible to shoot, i.e., raining very poorly. Uh, and I'm planning on incorporating that not only into my dry fire, but I've actually got a M17 pellet gun, which feels just like my uh, Legion. And so I plan on adding that to some of my practice, and then looking to add either a green gas or a CO2 pistol or rifle to enhance that. So thanks to them for coming down. Um, and we had another sponsor. I take that back. We did have three. Uh, well, we had a number now that I think about it because Steel Target Paint was the main sponsor of the match. Again,
Whoop whoop.
best paint in the market.
That's
Uh,
right.
and but we had AMG Labs, and we were very fortunate that they debuted one of their latest offerings, which is the scoreboard. What did you think of those scoreboards, Steve?
I messaged the owner of AMG Lab Timers right when I was at the range. I was like, man, how do I get my hands on one of these? So hopefully by the time I get home here in about 45 minutes, there'll be one in my mailbox. There's another company, and I'm not gonna shame them, but I did. I like this scoreboard because people can, as a spectator, you can see what just happened because some people are shooting so fast, and they're calling out times, and there's a lot of gunfire, so it's tough to hear. And if you're a spectator, you want to be engaged with what's going on, and oh, how fast was that? You could just look over the side and see it. But the other part that I was going to mention is that with another brand that has something similar, I did have one of those, and unfortunately it was infrared or something like that. There was a delay, it would miss shots, and Alex did a great job with this. And there is an update you have to do to your timer, so there'll be more coming out on that. But you can push the times to the tablet and to the scoreboard at the same time. So
Yep,
I had a
that was a
couple of questions
huge.
about that when I posted that. The other thing that I will say, so hopefully it'll be offered here March 1st, I think is when he was talking about it. And I did provide, some concern to the owner of AMG Labs. I'm just like, hey, look, man, I got people hit me up all the time because we support Alex. We've been with him since day one. He's
Yep.
local to the area down there with you. And I said, all right, brother, how long is the backlog going to be with these timers? And he said he's got some help, and he's going to send out an email blast, but it's going to be very soon, and he's going to be completely caught up, and he will send out a message to folks, but yeah. So if you're waiting for a timer and hopefully the scoreboards, I think they're gonna be. Don't quote me on this, Jeff. I think they're gonna be 179.99 somewhere in there.
I
But
did not
you
hear a
get
price,
yourself.
so you've
Yep.
got more insight on that. I looked at it as uh from a major match perspective. Okay. And your home range, I use them in my training, again, for the same reason. And, with my uh, delayed video setup, I can put a camera on the timer, I can put a camera on the shooter, and they can see when they replay the video,
Yeah.
what they shot for that string. I'm actually looking to upgrade the cameras and have a setup to where the one camera is on the shooter and then the other camera is going to be on the timer and the stage. So,
Yeah.
right now I've got, very inexpensive webcams. I'm looking to upgrade the cameras so there'd be clarity on the plates as well. So you'd get a full view of, not only how you shot and your form with a 90-degree angle on the shooter, but also like what you hit on the plates and what your time was.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's awesome.
yeah. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. So
hopefully they'll
coming
be
soon.
available
Coming soon.
soon. Yeah. And there's the nice thing is he's using standard type connectors. So we had a couple of different setups, some on tripods, some on mounts. And the good news is that, if you've got a tripod that you use for a GoPro or something like that, it'll fit right on there, no problem. And they were definitely well received. I like them. Many shooters will get up there and they don't want to hear their time. And
Sure.
we tried our best to, of course, keep them out of drip lines because it was wet, although they are water resistant. Uh, I think the way Alex put it was, you can get them wet, they can be rained on, don't throw them in a pool.
Yeah. Water resistant and waterproof are two different things completely. They both involve water, but two different
Yeah.
things completely.
So, but for those shooters, and you raised a good point, keeping the spectators involved, and for those shooters that are not interested in hearing their time, and the RO is throwing the timer back to the person running the pad to ensure that the correct time is recorded. The spectators can still see those times, especially if you keep them just back of the shooter. And out of their sight, so it adds that other element to it. So that was very cool, and,
Yeah.
and thank you to them for
Yeah.
that.
It, and they're very responsive. I mean,
Yes.
the shot's going off. It's registered just as it would on the timer.
Yep.
Is there a fraction of a second delay? I don't know, maybe, but it's pretty real time as you can see the time on the timer. There's if there's any lag, it's barely noticeable.
Yeah, and
So that
it's
so that was
also
cool.
good enough to where I mean there was the initial version um he had out, it was hard coded to flop between the number of shots and the time. And I said from a
Oh
match perspective, I would just like to see the time. Well,
yeah,
Alex went a bit further, and there's 3 buttons on the back of the unit that you can actually program the unit so you can turn that on and off. So if you want to see your number of hits, you can clearly turn that functionality on.
sure.
And then the other thing he did, which is very good, is initially it would just pick up any timer that was close by.
Yeah.
And you could get some timer hijacking, and he admitted to that. And so in the version we had, you could actually go in and program the direct MAC address of the timer that
Ah,
was being used, so there would never be any of that hijacking. So again, he's very open to those inputs, which is fantastic because different shooting sports have different needs. Um,
yeah, for sure.
and from a major match perspective, my ROs did a very good job at running the shooters and picking up the shots. And you sometimes you don't get all 5 shots, but as long as you get
Yeah.
that last shot, it's a valid run. And we didn't
Right.
want to have
Right.
anybody going, "Oh, you only got 4, you only got 3," you know. And sometimes at the whack, you'll sometimes pick up that reverb. I know for a
Yeah,
fact that on our O day, that happened. Being in the bays and the way they're structured, there was a reverberation shot at the end, and the RO looked down and went, "Well, I know you shot five, and I've got six shots here."
sure.
And that is the one time where I believe it's absolutely valid to quote unquote back up the timer um, when you've got a situation like that. The shooter does not deserve the, you know, point one whatever echo to be counted as their score. So, and thanks to the ROs for doing such a good job moving the match along. Sunday was tough. It was rainy. Saturday was kind of drizzly. We stayed right on time. Sunday was a little tougher. The rain caused some extra potholes, which caused a lot of people to choose to walk to the showdown bay instead of take the cart, which was understandable. I mean, you didn't you'd be having the cart drive you along, and the next thing you know, you're the cart that you're dragging behind is getting dumped because of the potholes. So we're gonna get fixed. We're gonna get those fixed up. But yeah, thanks to
Let,
everybody for
let
coming
me
to the
ask
match.
let me ask you this, Jeff. So the price of the match was what, $60, $50, something like
50,
that? Is
$50.
that right? $50. Okay, so for $50, you shoot six stages. You got painters on every single stage.
Yep,
You've got at least two, sometimes three ROs per stage, right?
yep,
Um, you got water
yep,
at every other bay or so. You got food. You got lunch.
yep,
Sandwiches for lunch on both days,
yep.
just part of the award ceremony, and then on Saturday, and then Dan brought around some snacks. I mean, for $50, Jeff, that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Fantastic match.
Well, thank you,
Fantastic.
Steve. Thank you, Steve. It's good to hear that. I hope, there's a lot of people I've seen on Facebook saying, gonna be there next year, or sorry couldn't make it this year, but hope to be there next year. And, again, we want to put on a match that's for the shooters, you know, giving them the opportunity to come in and just be a shooter. Painting is part of the game when you don't have painters. We're just very fortunate. We have a very deep bench.
Yep. Yep.
Many of the ROs and painters are my students that, they got to shoot on RO day and then help out. And we had a lot of other ROs, coming. I mean, T-Rex, Mike Wallace, Will Nwadnik came in from out of town, although Mike is kind of local. Um, but John Bardis and his son came from across the state to be ROs, and it's just appreciated, and he's been at every match. I think he's been at RO at all but one.
Yeah.
Um, and I can remember my first year running this match and stretching to find two ROs, to come help. And it's the deep bench that we build at the WAC and the fact that people are willing to come help, it's greatly appreciated, And as an RO, the match again, $50 a gun. I'm more than happy to give the RO as many guns as they want to shoot on RO day, which is usually no more than four. But it's fantastic. So,
So
and go
and
ahead.
if it's confidential, I understand that, but not to put you on the spot. So $50, you got all this. You do have some consumables and all that kind of jazz. Did the money did the match lose money, break even, or make just a little bit of money to reinvest?
It made good money.
And yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with the range staff and all that kind of stuff. So
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to deny that if you know, if you look at some of the other majors, let's take Worlds for example. We had Jake on last year, and we talked about the accounting of Worlds. It's an expensive match to put on.
yeah,
You've got the biggest expense is your ROs. Those ROs that work Worlds, and I've done it. You're there for 6 days. And you're working hard, and they've got to put them up in hotels. I didn't have to do that. So local matches can make uh some money to help the club and further this, being able, when we need equipment, the club comes through. Now again,
Yeah.
no one person at the match made any money. All the money
Sure,
goes
sure, sure.
back to the club. And
Yep.
that's on purpose. And of course, you look at a lot of other clubs and some have range rental charges. We don't have that, you know.
Right, right.
I mean, you could look at our charges as being what we earned, but that's what we do at the WAC. We put on matches for the shooters. We just hosted the Florida State USPSA championships, which
And
was
that was well attended,
that
right?
was that was sold out. Doc Welt opened up Monday, and that match is going to be in April, and that is our 12th annual Doc Welt, and it sold out in, I don't know the exact time, but I was on there Tuesday and there was like no spots left. So it's a testament to
Right.
the people we have at the WAC and how we run our matches that, you know, I say it all the time, what do you need to do to a match? Have good stages. In the case of USPSA, challenging, fun. In the case of Steel Challenge, have them set up correctly. And we were out
Yep.
there Thursday triangulating the plates, the stands, making sure that they were angled properly to each, in each stage where it could be. Um, Transited every stick and had that ready to go. And the one fortunate thing uh that the overcast and rain did was none of the plates turned into the sun at this match, if you notice
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that can happen. That can happen. And it's just a part of, and I tell people all the time, I'm like, yeah, but if you were out in the open, all the plates would be that bright. In this case, it's
Yeah,
only
yeah.
one plate that's that bright.
Yep,
So
yep. No,
so yeah, it was really
well
good.
run. Yeah, well
And
run match.
I will call out for my students and friends and family that, and I call a lot of these people, I call them my family because I feel that close. They pulled two things on me at this match that
Ah, yeah.
teared me up. Um, Friday on our O day, they showed up with shirts with my face on the back, calling calling themselves Jeff's crew, and each of them had one of the statements, comments, coaching techniques that I use with them on the back of their shirts. And that blew me away. And then at awards, um, Tyler Martinez from BJ Trophies, who did a fantastic job on the trophies, he gave me a really nice plaque commemorating the fact that we broke the record and set a new record. And then Kevin Holland, one of my students, got up there and they presented me with a 12-inch plate with signatures of all my students and anybody else they could get at the match. And I'm not afraid to say that I cried. That and I'll tell you why I cried. Not just because of the emotional that I felt, but we've talked about my dad and how close we were and how much he loved hearing about my shooting and the matches that I run.
Yeah.
And I know what that would have meant to him to have people go off and do something like that. Um, it was pretty special. So thank you all for that. That's greatly appreciated.
You,
So,
you forgot you forgot one thing though.
what's that?
One of the prized possessions of one of the gifts. One of the folks that's close to us gave to you. The big bag of Skittles, man.
Oh my God, yes, Reagan Hearn. So one thing that was cool was that she had said something out about Reagan's a Girl Scout as well, and that she not only was doing her Girl Scout cookie drive, but she would deliver them to the WAC, which I immediately jumped on and got a whole bunch of cookies because I love Girl Scout cookies. and love to support that. But yeah, she delivered me another giant bag of Skittles, which was amazing. And that actually, she got a big hug for that, and her family did too. Uh, Jen and Adam have done a fantastic job raising Reagan. She's a wonderful child, kid, girl, shooter, woman, whatever you want to say. And yeah, it's you look at the stuff that happens at the matches, and the Jesse got a really cool challenge coin. Did you see that?
I did that Purple Hearts
Yeah,
challenge coin. I think is
yeah,
that what it was? That was
yeah. And
amazing.
it was those are the kind of memories, winning a match is cool and running the match is great and all that, but it's those ancillary things that really, hit home. Somebody, taking an extra effort or seeing something in someone and going, "Hey, I'd like to give you this." It's pretty cool. So
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
now, what do we got coming up here? Looking at oh, by the way, next year I've already put the request in for the match. It will
Sweet.
be again that third weekend in February. I believe the dates are the 15th and 16th. If I jump here quickly to 2025, yes, February 15th and 16th of 2025 will be the match. So I know it's a year away, but if you've never shot this match, um, it is an experience. Um, so I hope to see you all there. But let's talk about what's coming up here quick in matches.
Oh, you got the Alabama State match coming up that
Uh-huh. Yep.
I just signed up for last week, which
Yep.
somehow I just got so busy, I almost didn't make it, Jeff. That it's not sold out, but it's getting pretty close. Carl runs a fantastic match over there at the CMP.
100%. And I Chris Stewart, who does a lot of work with them too, told
Mm-hmm.
me that they've now the CMP is letting them run their matches on the same footprint as the WSSC.
I like it.
So you're going to get that same exact feel you're going to get at the WSSC at all of their majors, and I believe all their locals as well. So kudos to the CMP. But yeah, that's actually second on the list. Coming up here in next month, third weekend of the month, you've got the U.S. Steel Nationals, which is going to be over in Volusia. So we got that one. You mentioned Alabama Speed state match. Area 4 coming up beginning of April. Tennessee, second weekend in April. Area 3, third weekend in April. Empire State, which would be New York, fourth weekend in April. And then, getting into May, getting prep for Worlds, you've got eight and the gate, first week in May. Third week in May, Pennsylvania State Championships. That's going to be run by Kurt Omensetter. And he came down to the match. He was one of the Pennsylvania people, along with Ryan Wagner and Ben Dombrowski. Thanks, guys, for making that trip. And then the granddaddy of them all, end of May, World Speed Shooting Championships. Uh,
Heck yeah.
which I have not looked lately, but when I talked with Zach, when he was down at the match, there was less than 20 spots available. Um, so that is going to be another sold out event. Um, and then just getting into June, the weekend after Worlds is going to be Area 5. And that's going to be the first weekend in June. Second weekend in June, Missouri State Steel Championship. So, man, if you want to get out and hit some majors, there is a lot going on. And I love to see this. And this list just keeps growing and growing and growing. And it's fantastic to see. I can remember when there was only a couple of area matches. And this year, I think I've said it before, we're going to have all 8 areas with an area match, which is fantastic. And thank you to every match director out there taking the time to run those. Area 2 just opened up. And
I'm looking at her right now. Let me see. Who signed up? Steve Foster signed. Oh yeah.
there he
Yeah, I
is.
got four guns on that bad boy. You coming?
No, I can't make that one. That's on a weekend. I've got prior plans, so I can't make that one. But I will eventually make it out there. I've been very fortunate that I've never actually had to fly with any of my guns. I've been able to transport them all in my van. So it'll be an interesting time when I have to travel with guns and making sure I do everything correctly to make sure they get there and I get to use them. Of
So
course,
real,
With Kurt, I could just go, Kurt, listen, I'm going to shoot these guns. Let me borrow yours. And he'd be like, yeah, as long as
it'd
I'm
be
not
all
shooting them,
right.
he don't care.
All right. It'd be all right. Yeah, just if you've never flown with guns, just contact the airline that you book. I fly with Delta the last, I don't know, 6, 7 times, and hasn't been an issue. But just make sure that you call the airline, maybe even prior to you booking, and to make sure you understand all the rules and regulations.
Yeah,
There are some federal rules and regulations, but seems like every airline does their own thing.
right.
Oh, you know what I saw this weekend?
What's that?
This past weekend, and I think I have one or two of them in my mailbox waiting for me at home. Vortex released the Defender, which is a small micro dot, for if you got a Glock 45 or something like that. They just released their big brother. It's the Defender ST, and it comes in 3 and 6 MOA. Oh,
It's got the
Brian had
much
one
bigger
of the.
window now, correct?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yummy. Yep, I got two, and yeah, I think I'm gonna have to buy like 8 more. I think that's where we're ending up with this. I'm just saying, it's a beautiful, beautiful dot. So Brian had one um on a Canic in the back of his van, and I took that thing and I was like, oh my goodness. So more to come on all that. I've seen it out on Facebook the last week or so. A couple of folks have them, and you know, I'm not going to be too late to the party, but I got a couple coming. I'm going to mount them, and I'll do a review on it for everybody out on social media.
Fantastic. Well, you raise a good point because about a week and a half before the match, Zach and I were talking, and he was talking about this ghost holster called the Hydra P. And we were like, oh man, this is kind of cool. It combines a classic holster with the trigger guard type lock holster of a race holster. And we're like, oh wow, this is really cool. Well, next thing you know, Brian's got one in his van.
Yeah,
And so we got to see one, firsthand and see what it feels like. So, there's you could spend a day just in the back of his van. It's kind of like a museum. It's just kind of ogling at all the guns on the walls and all the parts and that's really cool that he does that as well. That he's staying on the pulse of a lot of stuff that's out there and giving people an opportunity to see it. And, had I known about it, I might have gone, hey, can I use that? And he would have been like, yeah, as long as your gun fits. This one's, I think he had it set up for a Canic. Who knows? Maybe I'd have borrowed the Canic and shot it. See what that was like. So,
that's not a bad option. Not a
yeah.
bad option. The
All
other
right.
thing
Well,
you'll see
listen,
in the back of his van is dropped off a custom set of grips and magwells for one of his 2245. So if you're out and about, swing by and check it out.
absolutely. Well, there is one other gun that I want to talk about that was at the match. And that was your pistol.
Which
My
one?
God, that paint job. For those that didn't see it, Steve, explain to me what was the pistol and what did you do to it?
So either talking about my CWA, which is purple and fantastic, that has a proprietary purple by Creekside Custom, or you're talking about the one of four uppers. It's a Volquartsen 6-inch Mamba X iron sight with Kraken frame and Volquartsen internals, and of course a wonderful set of grips and magwell by you know who. Um, no, it's high polished, anodized, and yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
Well,
It
for
was
those that didn't see it, this gun was painted with a flame job. that was gorgeous. It was a museum piece, in my estimation. I mean, it 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 was gorgeous, and it's lucky I didn't get my hands on it because I would have had to like been in front of a judge explaining why I stole the gun, because it was absolutely spectacular looking. Kudos to you for putting that together. It was hot. You know, we've got another great friend who's put together a lot of great paint jobs in Kirk Grimes, and you know, you've entered that same realm with the work that you're doing. Just stellar work. Stellar work.
I appreciate it. And I've got a couple things that I'm working on currently that well, you can't shoot a subtle gun, Jeff. So even if you're not shooting well, you got to look good doing it. So I don't know. We'll see how much longer it's going to take me to get a couple of these things going, but yeah, hopefully here in the next few weeks, maybe not months, but hopefully I'll have something to reveal. No, hopefully before the World Speed Shoot, but there's a lot of variables that play into that. Working on a lot of projects, a lot of things, and
So
yeah, I got
actually
got
having a
got,
full-time
got a couple.
job, you still play tennis, you've got girls you're still raising, and you still find time to do all this stuff. Where do you find the time?
I don't know, man. I'm not sure, but stuff like shooting and the gun stuff, and reinvest some of that money into the sport, man. It's I love it. I love it.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, you know what? We promised to keep this short and sweet for today. Do you got anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
Head out there to ST Podcast 10 at rangestore.net. Get 10% off.
Best way to end a podcast. Thanks, Steve. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you, Jeff.
Bye-bye.